Live. So my granddaughter is over tonight. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, David. And my 3-year-old granddaughter is over, and she has her own phone. So
I hear it ringing. Is that her?
yeah, yeah. It's the only land phone.
Hello, hello.
She's too cute. So anyway, that's done. So this is. I just thought this would be a good way to introduce the premiere of the song. And before I ask you, what's that? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hold it a minute. Hold it a minute, because I'm going to go get a picture to put in my background.
Okay.
You're good.
Hello? Uh-oh. Hello? Nanny.
Okay, come, darling.
No, one's here.
Oh, you know what? We'll have a bath.
So if there's anybody on Facebook watching this, I'm waiting for Professor Bird, who is he may be not the man in charge of the campaign to make the Canada Jay our national bird, but he will answer that shortly. But he certainly is instrumental in getting Whiskey Jack and myself involved in this. I got involved, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago when I saw the Canadian Geographic magazine, I think it was, with a cover indicating that they were promoting the idea that the Canada Jay, aka Whiskey Jack, was to be the national bird, and it had to be authorized and passed in the House of Commons. So I contacted them. I've somehow, you and I ended up getting connected, David. I'm not quite sure how that happened, or how. Probably the guy at the magazine might have hooked us up. But we've been in touch many times. This is the first time we're actually meeting, and this is to premiere the song that I wrote. I figured as soon as I heard about this campaign, I was interested for obvious reasons. One, the Whiskey Jack connection, because it was the bird that we named the band after, and it was mostly because the characteristics of the bird were the characteristics that we wanted to have as an entertainment entity. Sassy, bold, trickster, just a cutting, an edgy kind of bird. And it's the only bird like it, as far as I know. There may be some in Africa or in the jungles that have similar characteristics, but it's certainly unique to Canada. And so it caught my attention. And then I thought, well, if Stompin' Tom was alive, he would jump on this bandwagon in a second, I'm sure. The whole idea of making the Canada Jay a national bird just makes a whole lot of sense. And for a man who wears his nationalism on his forehead like Tom did, so that's what inspired the song. If Stompin' Tom was our national bird is the name of the song, and the official video is going to be released on YouTube in about a half an hour, around 7:30 Eastern time. But in the meantime, Professor Bird and I, as soon as he finishes decorating his office, we're going to get together. We're just going to have a quick chat about the campaign and how it's going. And again, the song and the premiere and the video are just one of the tools that we're using to hopefully get some attention from the powers that be to make this an official bird. So, Professor Bird, pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Yes, thank you. We haven't met in person, but someday when we mortgage the house to get in an airplane at $2, here gas is now $2.15 a liter here in downtown Toronto. I don't know what it is.
Climbing.
Yeah, it's climbing. Yeah, so we may not be traveling quite as much as we were, but in any event, so that's my story as to how I got here, and also before I pass it over to you. The song, If Stompin' Tom Was a National Bird, there's a couple of lines in the last verse. Anybody who goes and watches the video, just pay attention to the last verse, because those lines are yours, man. You wrote those two lines there. They fit beautifully. So, well, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. So how did you end up here? I know you're part of a group, but are you the leader in this? Are you the big cheese, or?
Yeah, I'm basically the leader of Team Canada Jay, which is a consortium of interested parties all across Canada, consisting of former school buddies and biologists and people like Robert Bateman. He was my biggest star that I snagged for the team. And then we got Elizabeth May involved, and Dick Cannings, who's he's an NDP MP, and Elizabeth is, of course, the very famous Green MP. And then we got John and Janet Foster, who are iconic Canadian cinematographers, and of course I can't forget Dan Strickland and Ryan Norris, who are basically are the world's foremost authorities on this bird. So all of these people got together, and I'm not sure exactly how I was appointed spokesman for the group, but what happened is I wrote an essay for that contest held back in 2012 by the Royal Canadian Geographical Society. And I wrote an essay on the then called Grey Jay, which basically brought the Grey Jay / Canada Jay up into third place, in behind the Snowy Owl in second place and the common loon in first place. But both those birds ahead of it were already taken. Like the common loon is Ontario's bird, and Snowy Owl is Quebec's bird. I helped make it so, and they shouldn't have even been in the contest in the first place. The bottom line is the committee, after they got all the votes in and so on, decided to go with the third place bird. And I thought that was going to be a done deal with the federal government. I thought, oh boy, for sure, this is all going to happen and so on. And then I got a big surprise because the loon people went ballistic, and the media
want to do.
Yes, the media got involved, and they loved all of the interplay and back and forth. And so we found ourselves trying to defend why the third place bird got the nod as Canada's bird. And
it's like a hockey game, eh, Professor?
Yeah, sure. And so so what happened is that it took us a while to find out, but what we did find out eventually is that the head of the Liberal Party told his ministers, don't touch this. It's too controversial. We have enough controversy in our lives, and so leave it alone. And so what happened next is that Canada's 150th birthday came and went, no announcement. And then we had a huge ornithology conference in Vancouver where the federal government was there, and still no announcement. And then when we got the name changed to its old name from Grey Jay to Canada Jay, which I thought would be a no-brainer. Wow, a bird named Canada Jay. Why would that not be our national bird? And that came and went. And so I began to think I was actually going to almost walk across Canada to promote this sort of thing, until someone told me that it would take me a year and a half of my life, Duncan. And that's just a little bit too much to ask of me. And plus my knees couldn't take it, I don't think. So I said, well, what else can we do? So Colleen Archer, who's a poet from Ontario, sent me some little ditties of basically featuring each of the provincial birds and territorial birds in Canada. And she was asking me for some pictures that she could do a little book on this. I said, well, why don't we do something bigger than that? Why don't we take your poetry and put them as part of a big book pushing the promotion of the Canada Jay as the national bird, ? I emphasize the question mark on the title of the book, which is right there, because it's not a done deal yet. And so we've got this book. Everybody contributed to it. It's got a number of chapters. It's only about 80 pages long. Beautiful pictures. We're selling it for $9.95 eventually after we make our media announcement. And as I speak right now, on June 6th, one of my former students who works for Elizabeth May in Ottawa is putting this book in the hands of all 338 MPs, and even including some hand-delivered ones as well. So I'm just waiting to see what's going to go with that.
Is there a press agent, or is there someone that's sort of overseeing this to really? You're it.
I'm it. I'm the guy. I'm maybe like you. I've never had a microphone I didn't like, and so any chance I get to promote this bird, including when you got in touch with me and said that you were doing this song on Stomping Tom Connors and your name of your band was Whiskey Jack, I said, I've got to help this guy make this video and this song become a reality with the public, and that's exactly why you and I are talking right now.
Okay, so first of all, I have to just clarify something. Never, under any circumstances, is it stomping Tom. It is stompin' Tom. It is the
Right.
apostrophe.
I stand,
This
I
is
stand corrected.
this is important, David.
Yes.
If you're gonna,
Stompin'.
yeah,
Stompin'
yeah,
Tom.
that's it. That's it. That's it. So I ask about the press thing because this in this day and age, as someone who I'm in the media all the time, trying to increase my fan base, trying to get attention. I'm trying in this world, trying to put your hand up in class and get some attention. You almost have to run down the middle of the House of Commons buck naked, and even then, the likelihood of unless you have a fantastic body, you're not going to get the attention you want to get. So it's very difficult to.
Sure.
So, do you see any chance of this becoming? I guess, is there an angle that we can apply to this where it all of a sudden becomes favorable to the as you and I talked about this without getting too political about this, but you're right. A coalition government of sorts like this is our best bet. They both want to take credit for a feel-good story. This is a feel-good story any way you cut it. I don't know why they saw it as a downside, but maybe in those days they thought everything was a down story. But
well, I'll give you the two reasons, Duncan, why it didn't go anywhere. Why the Liberal head basically said to his ministers, "Don't touch it." One of them is that a due democratic process was not followed. In other words, the bird with the most votes didn't win the contest, even though it shouldn't have been in there in the first place. And secondly, and even more important, the federal government really had nothing to do with the contest. They should have been involved, like partnered with the Royal Canadian Geographical Society right from the get-go. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation now. But so all of this controversial stuff, they just said, sorry. What they kept on saying in their sort of standard letters was the Canadian government has no plans at this time to adopt any new national symbols. But I think it's, there's a lot of bad things going on in the world right now. I mean, COVID's still with us. There's the Ukraine war and many other issues, the economy. I don't expect the federal government to suddenly just drop everything because they got this book and say, hey, we're going to do this. Although Canadians could use some light and good news these days. What I'm hoping that it'll do is it'll put the thought in their head saying, hey, this is a good idea. Let's talk about this, and we have a couple of years here of this continued coalition government. Let's make this happen. It's not going to happen expectedly for this coming Canada Day, but what about 2023? The
most compelling thing about this whole project, from my point of view, is someone who I'm not a bird guy. I'm just a Northern Ontario. Former Northern Ontario kid who was raised with Whiskey Jacks and everything. The big thing in all of this, it's the most lovable damn bird out there. It is. I'm just going to play a short video on the screen for those that are, just to give them, those that don't know it, that are watching on Facebook or YouTube. So this is only a few seconds long. It's in the video that I'm releasing at 7:30.
Okay.
It's scary there. He's right there on the camper.
Put it on the brim.
It's scary. He's coming right for my face.
He won't hurt you.
Oh, you got it.
Isn't that just, I mean, come on. It's the most likable. Look, if I was in the bush and I was lost in the middle of, up by White River, near Wawa, if I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was to reach out and ask a bird for directions, the only one I would consider asking is the Whiskey Jack.
He might even answer you.
He might even answer me. He would lead me to the promised land. I'm sure of it. So I think that's if we can sell that to the people, if we can sell that to the House of Commons, maybe that's the key to
I think one of the things that I keep hearing is a negative by a few people is the fact that the bird is known as a campground robber, a thief.
Yeah.
But I rather look upon that as it's an adaptation of these birds to finding food. It's all part of their biology. It's the reason they come down to people's hands so readily, sometimes without even food in it, because they are opportunistic birds looking for a handout. And I just find it rather cheeky and and playful, and certainly not. I don't think it harms anyone to have a little bit of their granola bars stolen by a whiskey jack or a Canada jay. So
Do
it
you
is,
think
as you say, a very playful, a very friendly bird. You cannot find a more friendly bird than this bird. You just cannot.
it's so Canadian?
Yeah.
It's so Canadian. And
And,
I love
you
that.
know, and it's so tough. It doesn't migrate in the winter. It breeds sometimes in the snow, and it's a smart bird, a member of the corvid family, the crows, ravens, and jays, magpies, and it's also a very loyal bird. As a matter of fact, you probably don't realize this, but the males don't, or neither bird cheats on their mates. They actually stay together year round, sometimes sitting on a perch, touching each other.
Well, that's not particularly Canadian, but we'll overlook
Yeah,
that.
maybe it is. I like to think it is.
Well, in BC, but Ontario, not so much.
Okay.
But yeah, well, look at this is all. I don't know. Just let's get on with this and make this thing happen. So, are there any other symbols that are lacking in the Canadian on our list? Is there any besides the bird? Do we have a national everything else or?
No. We have a national. We have a mammal, which is the beaver, and I got to tell you right now, if we did another contest, say that people decided to revisit that, I'll bet you dollars to donuts it wouldn't be the beaver that would get the nod.
Yeah.
It would probably be the polar bear, and deservedly so because of climate change and so on. And that sort of is in keeping with the Canada jay, because the Canada jay is actually its existence is being threatened by warming temperatures, because they store their food in the fall, and they depend on that for not just survival but also breeding in the early spring. And if their food rots in their larders because of warming temperatures, that's not good. And in terms of other symbols, we've got the famous maple tree, and we even have the summer sport lacrosse and the winter sport hockey, as Stompin' Tom Connors will tell you. And then we've also got even a Canadian horse called the Canadian. And so I know of a group that's actually trying to push for a national lichen, but I don't know. I'm having a funny feeling. If I'm having this much trouble, I and my team, to get the Canada jay, which is so colorful as a national bird, the lichen guys are going to have to wait quite some time, I think, for that.
I'm not going to write a song about that, David. No.
I can see you doing that.
No.
Can't see you get too excited about it, Duncan.
No, it's not going to inspire me, I'm pretty sure. No. Well, listen, man, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. And anybody who's watching it, I'm going to be promoting the hell out of this video one way or the other. And every opportunity I'll get it to spread it around. And if it gets in the hands of the MPs, it's entertaining. I tell the story at the beginning, and throughout the video, there are snippets like that bird thing, and there's great photographs in it. Some amazing photographs in it. My goodness, those photos you sent are really great. So next time I'm out in BC, man, we'll get together and have a beer and talk about this more. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Keep on warbling, man.
Okay. Take care of yourself. Bye now.
Bye.